The legal system also recognized certain limited rights for slaves. For instance, they could own some personal property, though it remained under the control of their masters. In certain circumstances, they could testify in court, though their testimony was often considered less reliable than that of a free person. The Grogos outlines the process of manumission, whereby a slave could be granted freedom. This often involved a payment to the owner, either by the slave themselves or by a third party. If a man wishes to free his slave, he shall take him to the ting, which means assembly, and declare him a free man before witnesses. Freed slaves, while no longer chattels, still occupied a lower social status than freeborn individuals and faced limitations on their rights and opportunities. The legal framework surrounding slavery in Viking society was a complex one. It reflected the social and economic realities of the time, where slaves were an integral part of the workforce. While the law provided some limited protections, it ultimately reinforced the institution of slavery, denying basic human rights to a significant portion of the population. As historian David Wyatt observes, the legal codes of the Vikings, while offering glimpses of humanity, ultimately served to legitimize and perpetuate the brutal system of slavery. Dublin in the Viking Age was a melting pot of cultures and beliefs. The Norse, with their pagan traditions, brought with them the institution of slavery, deeply ingrained in their society. But alongside their gods and rituals, Christianity was beginning to take root, bringing with it a different set of values, ones that would challenge the very foundations of slavery. Christianity, with its emphasis on love, compassion, and the equality of all souls in the eyes of God, presented a stark contrast to the dehumanizing practice of slavery. Early Christian writers like St. Patrick, himself once a slave in Ireland, condemned the enslavement of fellow Christians. In his letter, called Letter to the Soldiers of Coroticus, Patrick denounces the capture and sale of Christian believers, calling it a wicked and unchristian act, and lamenting that the most ruthless enemies have carried off the baptized, the men and women of God, into captivity. The growing influence of Christianity in Dublin created a moral dilemma for both church leaders and Viking rulers. While the church condemned slavery in principle, it often had to navigate the realities of a society where slavery was deeply entrenched. Some church leaders, like Bishop Wulfstan of Worcester, actively preached against the slave trade, urging his congregation to not sell men like beasts.